Good morning, and welcome to week 5 of AGC Spidz, the VOD reviews. This is the final week of the group stages, so we're fighting every group for the third time this week, or last week. This is the third out-of-group set, so if you remember the Griff one, this is very similar to the Griff one, where we're fighting someone that's not in our group. So not only does that rarely matter, because the out-of-groups barely matter, this was also during, Worlds weekend. So I didn't prep for Aegis at all, right? I just submitted whatever decks, and you can see all of my wild decks that I was considering here. But my Aegis lineup was not the same as my Worlds lineup because I changed into monkeys at the last second and changed a few cards from Gwencat, Sivaraction, and Jax Vayne. And because I didn't do any prep, I don't remember any of the matchups. I don't even think I looked at the spreadsheet until the morning of. And I don't remember what these games are like at all. I remember who wins. I don't remember what happens in the games. So we're running Gwencat, Jax Vayne, and Sivaraction again. I presume we'll change it a little as time goes on. So apparently SpiderMansion's running Varus Pantheon, Thrash and I presume that's Raven Bloom. And we banned Varus Pantheon because it's anti-mid-range because you're an Unforgiving Cold. It stuffs up my mid-range decks. And then we go into the first game. Alright, so I have changed the list a little bit. Sivaraction is now on Ruin Runner because it's better into Shadow Isle stuff, and that's what we're preparing for Worlds. I think Red Gwen might have been the same, even though I changed the deck for Worlds, but Red Gwen was banned, so we'll never know. And if we're going against Raven Bloom, I think this is a pretty decent hand, right? Aksham gives you that value. Siva on turn 4. Siva will be attacking on turn 4. Now, Siva against Twisted Fate decks on turn 4 can be a little awkward because you sort of say, I'm going to lose Spell Shield if I play Siva on turn 4. But the pressure that we're able to apply with Siva and Ruin Runner, and the fact that if they Twisted Fate Siva on turn 4 means they can't pop the Spell Shield on Ruin Runner, makes this keep pretty good in my opinion. And because we have the action, we can be a bit more aggressive with our keeps. I'm gonna have some water. Give me a second. They play Watchful Idol, and I think we'll be mostly fine. Getting Shapestone helps us beat Heavy Metal right now, so Shapestone was a phenomenal top deck, right? If they Heavy Metal, we can Shapestone. And just having that one extra health that we can give to something can be really powerful as the game goes on. I've got a really good curve here of just doing Broadwing. I wonder what I decide to do. I think I probably would decide to do Vagabond. Interesting. Okay. I think Vagabond makes sense because there's nothing Broadwing wants to pull. I can pull this 3/3 so that Akshan can go in without needing to pre-commit the, or without them being able to force us to commit the Shapestone. And I think because we just want to be applying pressure because they'll have a better late game and their Flux can beat a lot of our units. And because we've got 2 Ruin Runners in hand, we can just be so aggressive that there's no real reason to play for Challenger and being cool with their attacks when we can just smack them really, really hard. We've got an amazing turn 4, turn 5, turn 6 with a bunch of Spell Shield overwhelm threats. So I think I decided to go for the 3/3 just for that reason. Broadwing doesn't hit anything, and the 3/3 allows us to push damage. And I presume we're just going to see a Siva here, saying that they can have Twisted Fate, but if they want to use Twisted Fate before we lose our Siva, go ahead. Now, there's an argument here that because we do Duelist, there's a reason to put Duelist on the Siva and play Broadwing into Duelist. I do like being aggressive here. And forcing them to block with Swain as opposed to pulling Swain. But it's not a bad argument, especially if you want to be even more protective against Twisted Fate. I'm going to presume that they're on 2 Twisted Fates because they're on 1 Katarina. That's what I'm going to presume. I haven't got the deck list open. I didn't prepare at all for this. And you might see that in some of my plays if I play poorly. This was the morning of... This was the morning before Worlds, I think. So we had already submitted our decks because that was due the day before this day. And then on this day was like the final day to prep for Worlds. So I was sort of not taking it too seriously. And I remember sitting in the games and feeling like I don't even know what I'm doing in these matchups and decks because I haven't played these decks a lot and I haven't strategized with them. Silver Action I've obviously played a lot, but Jack's Vein had been like completely out of my brain because it wasn't there for Worlds. I get another Shapestone, which is really valuable if we're just doing Ruin Runner into Ruin Runner, and the fact that we can summon a 5/2 at burst speed next turn, even though we're probably developing the Ruin Runner, just like, imagine what the next turn will look like. With these double Ruin Runners, the 5/2 from the landmark, and a Shapestone to protect ourselves. Like, we are absolutely demolishing them. And while they've drawn maybe a Make It Rain, let's say, or a flop, we are just feeling like phenomenally good. And I'm pretty happy about that. We can't do like Burrowing plus Merciless because of board space. And I'm just noticing we also can't summon the 5/2 because of board space. So I think I remember what happens here. I think I do everyone's favorite play of +1/+0. And +1/+0 is really phenomenal here for a few reasons. It allows Siva to attack to make sure they can't block with Swain. And if they block Swain with any of these, Shapestone will kill whatever Swain blocks. Now, presumably Swain will threaten leveling because they've gotten something of Sap's Breath-In. So one of these cards is going to be a spell. And based on this double arrow, I'm going to presume that Make It Rain and Flock are both able to kill us. You can tell I'm presuming a lot because I genuinely cannot remember these games because I did not practice for ages for it, like, at all. And this was like 2 days ago at this point, and all I can think about is the Worlds games. But yeah, so I think +1/+0 was really, really good here. In addition, we don't need to draw anything. Like, we can draw a Rite of Negation, which would be great. Concerted would be pretty good as a defensive draw. But because we've got so much aggression and we can continue to be aggressive, I really like increasing damage. Now, the only question here is now Siva ordering. So Siva's got 19 left to order. So because these have quick attack, we're guaranteed to get a 10. They can't favorably block these without blocking with Swain. But this one can get quick attack. So we're giving this one quick attack because it can get quick attack. And it be valuable because they're probably going to want to block it with like House Spider or something. Or with Swain. And if they block with Swain, we can do the Shapestone play. Like, as you can see, this trade is like not very good for the Zap's Breath-In, right? Actually, they're going to block with Swain, and then we can put the Shapestone on. And they can flock. But if they flock, I don't know if we care too much. Oh! I remember this game. I remember what happens against SpiderMansion. Oh, okay. Yeah. So, from memory, I noticed that they don't put any spells on this deck. And while Swain can level, I think I just let this through. And my thinking was that I wanted to use Shapestone, because Swain only has 4 strength when he's leveled now, because of the nerf. And so I can use Shapestone on one of these guys to block Swain and keep my board. Because if I do this here, if they drew a flock, then they can open attack next turn, and I just lose my entire board because of Swain having Overwhelm. But if I don't use Shapestone, it means I can protect this. And it's because this has got Spell Shield, and this is like damage, right? They can easily flock this. It's much harder for them to deal with this. Now, they can deal with this, and they can deal with this and put their health lower. But it's much easier to do that, especially since Shapestone can't threaten lethal at all. So that's why I decided not to Shapestone the 4/2, just take my damage, deal a lot, and yeah. I hope my voice isn't too bad. I've been in need of a lot of water, but I found a short time that I can record, because normally I can't record. And so I thought I may as well just instantly get into it and not prepare too much. I didn't even do like a test audio this time. I normally do a test audio. But they Make It Rain to remove Spell Shield, which makes sense. And I think they do a flock or another Make It Rain here. No, I do remember what they do now, because I remember how this plays out. Just from memory, they play Make It Rain. Yeah. So now all of our units are either flockable or it's the last rune on it. And now I'm pretty sure I'm clicking on the decal. I don't really know why. They play Twisted Fate. So Twisted Fate means that I can't actually block Swain. They not only stun a unit, but even if that unit wasn't stunned, like Shapestone wouldn't allow me to block Swain. And now we're sitting at a dead board, all of our champions and big units dead. They're getting 5, 10, 16 worth of units dying. Oh, easy. Getting 16 units dying. Am I recording? I'm recording. Let's go. 16 units dying. And while I can save a little bit of HP, I'm going down to like 6. Yeah. And this is what I remembered happening. Getting my whole board swaying. But we can't do anything, so we submit it. What is good is that we've got a lot of refill in hand. Like a lot of refill in hand. Like we can do Broadwing Merciless. Merciless threatens fearsome lethal. And we can just challenge the other two things and keep them alive. Like, we've got like an open attack lethal that they need to have like Death's Hand plus Blade's Edge or something to kill it. And we top deck the Rite of Negation, so we definitely just go for the open attack and do it. They Whispered Words. I think they probably run Death's Hand in this deck. But they don't even do it, and we resolve and win. The Rite of Negation was a very good top deck, just in case they had that sort of thing. But because we had those cheap units in hand, we were able to beat a Swain. Now, alternatively, we could have tried drawing the previous turn, right? Like, we could have drawn with the Aksham spell and looked for something like a Concerted Strike, which may be more likely to win. Because their Swain was damaged, so even if they had a flock to kill one of our units that was damaged, like, the other one would be able to still strike it. However, I think the +1/+2 was really powerful there, not only forcing them to block, putting them at like 2 lower HP. And that 2 lower HP can definitely matter, especially since our hand was feeling pretty good at the time. Yeah, so we've now got Jack Swain versus, again, Swain, Katarina, Twisted Fate. And I think I remember vaguely. I remember one thing that happens in this match. Again, Swain, Katarina, TF. I think I just want early units, and I keep Castaway because I remembered a situation where I didn't have any weapon activators. Fishfight doesn't hit any enemy gamers, it doesn't matter, and Harpy is too late of a card if I want a bit of early aggression. But we can do the tracker into the Weapon Master. Now, this Weapon Master card, I am not a fan of. I think in Jack's vein, it might be a necessity specifically for curving out with like the 2/3 Bannerman guy. But in general, I really don't like this card post-event. Being able to challenge the Watchful Idol, though, is pretty useful and allows it to have 1 less strength, which is important because... Oh, sorry, 1 less health, which is important because all our guys have 2 strength at the moment. And we're not drawing many beefy units. We can play Castaway and we can do, like, catch and stuff. But we are running out of beefy units. I take the combat reel here just to put 1 extra HP on the guy, because if I had 2 1 HP units, that would just be begging for a Make It Rain or a Flar. I'm pretty sure here I block with the 2-1, so that I can put the weapon on the Broadwing. Sorry, on the Fleet Feather Tracker. One thing that's really interesting about weapons is that the units that they are so small that the weapons are better put on other things. Like, Combat Cook is the worst guy that could be equipping Combat Cook's weapon in your deck. Right? It's a 4-mana 2/2. And so sometimes you have to kill it because it's a big unit on the field, but it's not great. I end up discarding that there just to push extra open attack damage and get some cards in my hand. I was going to probably discard that anyway. At some point, because I just needed more cards in my hand that did stuff. So doing it now to get the open attack damage I think is really valuable. But at the time I was thinking of putting the weapon on the 2-1. We do catch here because it forces them to have Death's Hand or Make It... Sorry, Death's Hand, Make It Rain, or Blaze Edge. And they end up having this, or Disintegrate, right? They had a lot of cards, but getting it out of them I think is still valuable, especially since we've got 2 really valuable cards in hand that we want to be protecting. And so forcing them to put removal on that unit is great, especially removal like Flock and Disintegrate, which is some of their best removal for high health things, such as Bane. They play a red card to kill our 2-1 and to put damage on the 3-2, but honestly, them not being able to red card like our Vayne or our Jax is putting us pretty happily. We have to decide Jax or Vayne first. I pick Vayne first, trying to get them to maybe tap under Heavy Metal or Death Sand by playing a 1-drop. Oh, Death Sand, not Heavy Metal. They'll be able to play Heavy Metal either way. Then we just play Jax. Just so we have the capacity to open attack if we want to. We draw Giraffe, which is a little, it's just like a big sized unit compared to the rest of our units, and has the tough keyword, which is really good against these like Bilgewater, Noxus, like, you know, make it rain, block control decks. I end up doing this here just so that Vayne doesn't have any damage on him. I think this is pretty valuable, especially since they didn't dead stand us last turn when we were tapped out of mana. Now we can cast like Shapestone and Sharpsight. We don't run Sharpsight. It's still correct not to put damage on the Vayne, but that's the only reason why, right? It's not because now we're threatening stuff. Like, they may have been able to do the Death Stand this turn anyway. I equip Darken Aegis now, as opposed to tumbling Darken Aegis to beat Flock. If you tumble Darken Aegis, goes on the stack, then they can Flock your Vayne on the stack, and then you've lost 3 mana, as well as your tumble, as well as any access to tumbles in future. But if you do Darken Aegis now, it means that Vayne is protected from pretty much everything, right? They need a double Flock, they need a Disintegrate Flock, and it just makes them spend more resources. Like a Heavy Metal. Congrats, we made them use up a Heavy Metal. Now, it's not great because we lose our Giraffe. In fact, if we're playing it as Giraffe, they end up not having Flock here, by the way, which is really nice. Oh, well, they can Flock Vayne when they want to, but they'd probably do it now to make our thing not be reduced. Not being able to replay it as Giraffe is a little bit unfortunate. Like, that's their best Heavy Metal target, so to say that we like got rid of the Heavy Metal is both good and bad. But they play Swain here, and you might notice, just like last game, we don't have a way to deal with Swain. Swain will just destroy our board. And here I'm thinking, okay, what can I do now? How do I live with Swain deleting our board? Like what can I do? How do I win the video game? There's a way for us to fish fight and kill Swain. We can tumble to threaten damage and deal some damage to their units, right? Like if we tumble this. Oh, right, there's also a ramp to prevent one of our units from dying. We've got a few options. We can tumble this, push this forward, either kill this unit, damage this unit so that it can be fish fought, or just so it dies in by combat when they do the Swain attack. We can do this to protect one of our units. One of these 2 units is the best one. In order to, like, we won't block it with Swain because then Swain will kill it afterwards, but just keep it on the back line so that it can deal damage on the turn after. Especially with these 2/2s, we're able to threaten some amount of damage because we can play this and this and this attack and then attack again. The issue with that is that Swain has 7 health and these guys have got like 3 strength and 2 strength. So we're not going to be able to trade into Swain easily, but it's definitely a possibility. I end up going for the rally here to protect the Jax, because I think if we lose our Jax here, we just cannot win, especially with our hand being 2 2/2s. So I do that. They attack. We block. Go down to 13 HP, put some damage on the Swain. They keep their 3/2. We play Elkin, we play other Elkin, we put the weapon on, we smack him. Now there's an argument not to, and the argument is that we might want to fish fight. That's right, okay, so I think we put the combat reel on and then we fish fight, right? Yeah, this is a much stronger play, because we get to kill Swain, which means it can't repeatedly block us twice. We also get to just attack with our unit. And I think, does this level Jax? No, they flock Jax. So I think it might have leveled Jax, and that's why they're flocking Jax. Now, this isn't a great position. Like, we can attack with the 2-2, but it trades into the 3-3 and then the 3-2, and then just play tie bulk. Right? It's not great, this attack for us. So we just, like, lose it. You can argue that rallying was maybe wrong, because the barrier ended up not being helpful. Right? Like, think about it. The barrier forced them to flock. So we did get a flock out of them because they barriered. But that's like about it. The flock, it wasn't particularly useful, the rally, because we didn't end up rallying and the Jax died anyway. But I hope it made sense why we did it despite all that, right? Like the value that it would have provided anyway felt very prominent. And there's nothing else that we're really doing with our mana, right? Like if we didn't have that, we could re-equip this onto this and also play this and have like a 2-white attack, which is fine, but I think it was important for us to play the rally. Let's double check this. Let's go back a little bit. We're in this position. We don't rally. We let them attack us. We block this with this. It's got 4 HP. And we lose our entire board. We play this and this. We put this weapon on this guy and we fish fight this guy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We've still got 4 mana remaining. We can't re-equip this weapon. We can put the Jax weapon on something and we're dealing 2 2/2s. We could rally, attack with the... We wouldn't be able to attack with the quick attack weapon guy, I don't think, with that one. I don't know. The rallies also, I don't know if they were going to get a lot of value later on, like on just these 2 units, and I think if they didn't have flock, this would have been such an important thing to be keeping this Jax. Especially since I think it would have leveled, which means it could have attacked. I mean, it could have attacked anyway because we're killing this Wayne. I think the rally was worth it, but I can see an argument why it wasn't. If we were trying to play around them being able to have flock to kill our Jax. And they need specifically flock because the Jax was stunned due to the Swain, but not leveled. We have Drone Dural here, which is phenomenal. Dural allows us to play a unit at all that does something with our life. And drag stuff, but, you know, it may be our best draw, that doesn't mean it's a great draw. Like, we can kill tie bulk now. Which is good, like, I'm glad we can kill tie bulk now. They're gonna outvalue us, they're gonna play Rex or something, and they're gonna beat us, right? Cool, they even kill, this guy. Now, they've only got 1 card in hand, so we can try to outvalue. Right, that is a viable line for us to take. Because typically, the flock decks have this issue where they run out of value. They have draw cards, that's how they get value back. But typically that's where they have fault. So if you think about it, like we can trade into the 4-2, we can trade a little bit into the tie bulk. If we draw a unit, we can try and trade into the tie bulk again. If we draw a fish fight. Harpy is a way to trade into tie bulk, and they're going to play this, and then we can play Harpy and trade into tie bulk. Alright? So we play Harpy, trade into tie bulk because they didn't open attack. Trade into the 4-2s, we'll take 7 damage here. But this does give us an out, especially since we can tumble on the Harpy. Right, being able to tumble on the Harpy is valuable. Now we can't tumble on the Harpy once she's dead. Okay, they play House Spider, now we can. So if they open attack, we would have to block with Harpy to kill this. Like this trade is too important for us not to take. In addition, none of the other trades, like they still make us lose the weapon. And if we lose the weapon, then Harpy doesn't have quick attack anymore, which means when we do attack, it turns into another 4-2, and then we've lost a lot of our momentum. Because they develop, we're able to get the scout attack now, which means that it can trade into one thing, and they're probably going to be feeling forced to block. They trade into one thing, probably is 2-1, then we block, and then we have the option to attack again. And because this is 2 strength, it'll be able to trade up. That being said, they're still going to pretty much outvalue us. And while this guy has a bit more HP and is able to trade a little bit better, that's not going to be great. Now, one thing that we can do is that when we do this attack and then we block this thing, if we attack with this next turn, we're going to be able to put this guy's weapon on this to give this 5 HP so that it can trade into these things a bit more favorably. And because we've got the rally, we can definitely do a regular attack, then a weapon attack, and then a... So we can do a regular attack, then this, then scout attack, and then regular attack again. So these are the things that are sort of on my mind at the moment. They take this, which makes some sense. I don't run pings or burn or anything. I go down to 1 HP, but because it's not lethal, I can't care. And I think it makes sense for them to take this, right? They can have top deck pings. We can't get top deck pings. And because we don't have overwhelm anywhere on the board, like, we are going to be able to trade more favorably, right? Clicking on the board a lot. Right, so let's say they block with the 2-1, right? I would be at 3 HP, so Death's End would no longer be lethal, and Blade's Edge would no longer be lethal. So let's make it rain. So I think that makes sense. I think it makes sense whoever attacked there. Now we can probably attack with the 6-4. There's an argument to be able to attack with 6-4, because this trades into this, and then this would trade into one of these things and still live. But if we open attack with both, it does that same trade, and then we can rally and do the same trade again. Alternatively, we can just attack with this, they do the positive trade, we put the weapon on this, we rally, we can do both of these trades. Get the range and height, which I think we develop, because we're doing a regular attack to start. And it gives an extra HP to the 4-3, which means they're not likely to trade it into the thing. They get Iron Kiboras, which is pretty bad for us. It means they've got another unit. It's really well I can trade favorably into the 2-3. It seems they've got a spell and it can't be flocked. They got Iron Kiboras again. Now the trade's so much worse. And you can see the time left in this video. I think this goes to a game 3. We do this. Now there's an argument to not attack with this guy, to coerce them into blocking this into this. So I'm seeing that they can do this into this, and then one of these into this, and then when I rally, they've still got 2 units back in the field. Alternatively, we can just do this, coerce them to do one of these trades, and then put the weapon on this, and then scout. And that's what I was hoping to get them to do, right? I wanted to coerce them into doing a trade like this. But they had Make It Rain, and we lost. And there wasn't a way we could beat Make It Rain. So we go into game 3. I'll have another water. Which is Jack's Vayne versus Thresh Nasus, a matchup that I was pretty scared about. While Thresh Nasus isn't the most powerful deck, it certainly has the capacity to set up enough beefy units to be scary, and Thresh can be scary against us. Like, Thresh deals with most of our stuff except Harpy. I discard this whole hand. Weapons are good, but I need like synergy units. And this is a hand. This is a hand that can really suffer to a sort of Bark Beast plus like Keeper into like Keeper what's it called? The 1-1 into the 2-1 that summons the saplings. It's a hand that can really suffer to that. Just because they can put on like a lot of aggression. And then we do have the Bakai Reaper. That's an example of like a really good early drop that can synergize really well with their deck. The Jax draw was really, really good. Like, the Jax will be able to put in a lot of damage, and getting the quick attack weapon will allow us to, when Jax inevitably dies, put it on the Vayne or something. And it's also really good with fish fight. Since Jax's weapon is super cheap, we're allowed to fish fight and then put the weapon back on. So, we've got a lot of good stuff here with Jax. They play Vilefish, which is great. This is really low tempo for them. And it means they're not doing stuff like Cursed Keeper into the sapling card. Now they've now got a sapling card target, right? They can play the sapling card on the 1-1, but they decide not to, and they're just using this as aggression. And I'm really happy to see this against like Thresh Nasus. Like, they can put on like a really strong early game and then have a really strong mid game, and then still have like the over the top and the right negations. They play Butcher. They didn't want to do that beforehand, I guess, because we could have played Vayne and it would have been troubling. And they've got the Black Spear. I saw Black Spear was in their deck, and I remember playing Vayne here and thinking, if they Black Spear, that's 1, it's low tempo. 2, they have to have Ravenous Butcher Black Spear, so that's 2 cards out of their hand, which means we can attempt to outvalue them. And 3, we've got another Vayne. So I really wanted them to do this play, because I think this play ends up being pretty bad for them, and it's also one of their best plays they can do. And putting them in a position where one of the best plays they can do is one that you're really, really happy to see. It's a great position to be at as a gamer of the video game. With second Vayne, like, we're not going to play it immediately. We're probably going to do combat cook to try and pressure some damage. Especially if we can get the quick attack weapon. But just seeing them have so few cards. Do we do Elk and Castaway? I think Elk and Castaway is better now that we've thrown Castaway. doing Castaway also, Elk Castaway also allows us to keep up one of these spells, so we can pre-commit, say, like a fish fight. Or we can do a fish fight after combat. If we get like quick attack and quick attack on this, we can do fish fight after combat and still get the damage in properly. And the extra stats don't matter too much at the moment when they're bought as a bunch of low strength things. Now we've got Combat Reel and Sense 1 Amulet. Sense 1 Amulet's not going to get through very much. Like, it means now they can block with Prey, but they still want to kill our unit, right? Because it's going to attune every attack, right? I think Sense 1 Amulet's a bit low power, because a lot of their units do have 3 strength. We do something like this. I choose to attack with the Bakai Reaper, because all the things that... Sorry, the Elkin, because everything that the Elkin trades into is a positive trade for me, even the 3-1. So I'm pretty happy to see a trade like this. And it ends up pushing damage through, so that's fine by me. We deal a lot of damage. We do the fish fight to kill the fearsome guy. And doing that's really powerful, because it means that if they open attack, we can block with the 2-2 into the butcher and we're feeling just fine. In addition, when we play Vayne next turn, we have enough mana to tumble Jax. And Jax now has Overwhelm and gets all the buff and stuff. He'll only get +1/+1 because there's only one weapon at the moment. But it's an option. In addition, the weapon is cheap, so it's fine to fish fight it. We get another Jax here. And all I want to do right now is kill Thresh with Counter-Strike. But they can just pull the 2-2. And because Counter-Strike only can be cast on Jax, well, we can combat reel here. If we combat reel, they're not going to pull it with Thresh, so it doesn't do anything. But if we combat reel and they pull it with Thresh, then it would be great. But they're never going to do that. They're never going to pull Jax with Thresh here. So we can't do Counter-Strike stuff. But if we don't equip Jax, they're going to kill Jax. And Counter-Strike can't kill Jax at the moment. I can't kill Thresh without equipping a weapon. So no matter what we do here, Jax is either dying or surviving with too much investment, and it doesn't matter. So I end up deciding that we're just going to play Combat Cook, take the tough weapon. Overwhelm weapon can be justified, but we've already got an Overwhelm threat with the Jax in here that is not necessary. In addition, we can actually like single combat the Thresh if push ever comes to shove. But being able to have Jax here and Vayne in hand, we have drawn 4 champions, so we've been pretty lucky, right? But it was just a bit unfortunate that we couldn't do like full Jax stuff. But being able to equip a bunch of guys with weapons, and then we've got Jax plus Ranger Knight Defector. Not Ranger Knight Defector, sorry, Zealous Ranger Knight. Feels really, really cool. And we can always just hold up single combat in case they level their Thresh, that we can kill their Thresh and feel pretty good about ourselves. They've only got 1 card left in hand, and we've got like a really good wide attack. And while we're going to lose our Zealous Ranger Knight, we're pushing so much damage here. We're in like a great position. And we are leveling their Thresh, but we've got the single combat in hand, so we don't care about leveling the Thresh. So we can always just kill Thresh. And this is just a really powerful attack. They've obviously got the 0-1s that they can block with, but they're going to have to block with the 3-3s just because of the amount of damage that we're pushing. And while they do get a favourable trade with their 3-3 into our 2-3, I'm still feeling pretty good about the amount of damage that we're dealing in, because they've only got 1 card left in hand. Remember, they had to do the Butcher and the Black Spear. This is feeling very good. I do the single on the Jax, because Jax is currently using like buffed damage more, buffed health more than the other guys are. So when the combat ends, Jax is going to be at full HP, so we may as well use Jax's HP resource that he has temporarily now. And because we've got Vayne plus Tumble, we can put a lot of damage on with our Jax. Now they play Glimpse here. I honestly thought about concerted striking, but I thought there's very little they can draw that can kill Jax and make us scared. Right? They can draw Vengeance, but if they're Vengeancing Jax and we can just play Vayne, we're going so wide and still having like Vayne's constant engine of tumbles. So I decide not to concerted strike here and just do the tumble, force them to do stuff. They can't play Nasus or anything, or if they want to, like, we're going to be able to go wide and deal with them. We've even got concerted to deal with the Nasus, even if push really does come to shove. They play Rad Negation, which is great. I could not care less that they're playing Rad Negation. Means they're not developing units, they're not threatening anything. They play Spirit Leech, even better. They've managed to reduce the HP of their board. And we can still develop units. And we just got an open attack lethal, right? Like, not even Vengeance. Vengeance technically saves them. They block the Combat Cook and Vengeance the Jax, but you know, Vengeance isn't safe, and we've got like cards in there. Like we've got Tumble. And that's it. We 2-1 SpiderMansion, and we sit at based on the previous videos 8 wins and 1 loss in ages. I hope this more rambly and less focused video is fine, considering I was mostly focused on the World's Championship. I didn't really focus much, and since this was out of group, it mattered even less. And because it's the final week and we're pretty much guaranteed for playoffs anyway, we really didn't care this week, right? Like, there was a very small chance that we don't make playoffs, but it was so incredibly minor, and I think contingent on factors that wasn't us. Even if we lost all our sets, it requires like ABG's on to push us down or something and make us do tie breaks with castaways. But yeah, that was that, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.